and it's often the very niche kind of things, right? So like something no one else has written about. Those things tend to do super well. Hard to do, but the personal ones for sure, they always work really well. I think people really like to relate to someone's personal experience. If it's personal learning and growth, I think you should really write about as many things as you want. Like it's a really good way to find what you really enjoy. First of all, you can also write like blogs that will perform really well based on simply the title, and especially when you start introducing listicles, so the top X, Y, Z, blah 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 things, they do tend to draw way more attention to them for some reason. What I found personally from writing so many articles is that at one stage, I think this was around like 400 articles, Google really started to pick up like in a spike, right? Yeah, sure. I'm Chris. I'm a web team lead over at daily.dev. Some of you may know, super cool browser extension for developers. And if I'm not developing there, then I'm kind of writing blogs. I have written, I don't know, close to 900 blogs at this time about web development. I write one every single day. It's a pretty cool challenge. And yeah, if I'm not doing anything behind the computer, then you'll probably find me hiking somewhere. That's me in short.
So, how did you decide upon this idea of writing a blog every single day?
Yeah, this actually came from, I don't know, it's almost 2 years ago, I guess, the COVID thing with the lockdowns everywhere. So we got into a lockdown, and I was going into an office before that, not every day, but let's say it was every day. And it took me quite a while to get there, with the traffic being bad. So at one stage, I decided to walk to work. All in all, it took me like roughly an hour there and back. So was quite some time, in the day that I was lost just walking, mainly, listening to podcasts, things like that. And then all of a sudden I was at home and I didn't have to travel, so it was a great opportunity to turn that time that I gained into something productive. And yeah, I kind of wanted to keep exploring some things that I couldn't do at work, right? So you're stuck with, one framework or, a specific thing that you do every day, and the blog was a really good outlet to try out different frameworks, different tools, kind of keep learning some basics again. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, and I just kept doing it. It became a habit, and yeah, there we are.
So, what do you write about? Anything that you are learning or anything that feels interesting to you?
A little bit of both. So mostly things that I want to learn about. So if things spark my interest, but I don't really have the time to do it all at once. So recently I did one on accessibility, and it was just something I was really interested in to learn more about. So I just decided to dedicate like a whole series about it because it really forces me to split it up into multiple smaller tasks, do the research, and write down what I learned about it. But other times it's just because I really seen something that really interests me. Just want to see like how it works or how it's done, and then I write that down. So it's a bit of a mix. But everything I try to keep it like web development related at least. Done a couple on mobile apps as well, but mainly it's around web development.
So, you revolve around mainly web development rather than exploring different varieties of topics.
Yeah, yeah. You will find some on Python as well. The one stage I was a little bit into mainly like recognition from video input. Uh, so that's kind of where I started exploring some Python as well.
So, has it helped you so far writing blogs every single day?
Yeah, I really think it does. Like to me personally, it really has given me a lot of time to research something. So sometimes there is also an aspect of something I'm doing every day, but it's very good to go back to like re-explaining it to someone else. Like you might find like, oh wait, I actually been doing this wrong the whole time, or maybe not wrong. Wrong is such a strong word, but like there's another way of doing it, and it actually makes more sense sometimes. So I think that that's been really helpful. I also found some really cool tools along the way that I started using. So yeah, there's been a lot of benefits. And of course, uh, applying for the job over at Daily Dev, I think it also helped to kind of show that you're a person who really likes to learn a lot of things, and is good at explaining it to other people. I think it shows like people that you have those skills as well.
How do you find these topics to write art blogs on every single day? Because there is a capacity to what you can find. So how do you keep finding topics?
Yeah, that's a really good one, and I think a lot of people actually ask that. In the beginning, it was really hard. You have some ideas, and you kind of work with that, but at one stage, it's kind of dies out. And what I started doing was like really looking into several ways of sourcing ideas. And once I started doing that, like literally writing every idea I had down, it turned out like I have too many ideas really. Like I can't write about all the ideas I have. So some of the ways I get these ideas are people asking me questions. So you might write about something, and people might ask you about some more follow up things around the topic. So that's obviously a good way. But also getting inspiration from other people. So not necessarily copy pasting them, but like I do read a lot of articles as well, and sometimes it really sparks something like, oh, but what about this? And then I'll start exploring that side of the whatever it is they're writing about. Um, and I think the third way is from your day to day job, right? So there's a lot of things that you might do that are super natural to you. Like for you, maybe it's like it's supernatural to ask questions, and for me, it would be like I don't know what to even ask people. So that would make a really great topic then. Like okay, like how do you come up with good interview questions, for instance? And so these things come super naturally, and writing them down like as soon as they pop up in my head really helps to create a massive backlog. I don't write all of them, but every now and then I go through it, make some changes, see like I won't ever write about this, but might spark some other ideas.
That makes sense. So, how do you finalize a topic like this topic is worthy of being selected for a blog, or else? Because sometimes it might happen that a topic is just not valid for a blog. A tweet or
Mhm.
a thread is enough for that. So, how do you decide that this topic is good for a blog?
Yeah, I don't know. I really try to look at it like from the idea and see like, can I really write something about this? Or like you said, it's like maybe a tweet about it enough, right? So it does happen that, the idea is like, it's either too small, and then I'll just tweet about it and leave it. Or actually it also happens that it's the opposite, like it actually is too broad to explain in one article. Maybe we can come back on that later, but I think I don't know. It's more of a gut feeling, right? So by the time I see the article, I kind of start outlining what I want to write about. And if that part is already hard, then it's probably not the best article to write. So those just get scrapped.
I'm sure that in your this long experience of writing blogs, you must have written technical articles as well as articles based on your experience, your daily experience, learning experience. So, what do you think? Which articles or blogs perform better, like technical blogs, or you explaining your personal experiences?
Um, it's a tough one. I think overall the personal experience by long shot, like every time I write a personal experience one, I can guess it will do pretty well. But there are some technical ones that really um, impress me sometimes, and it's often the very niche kind of things, right? So like something no one else has written about. Those things tend to do super well, but I can't predict them. I kind of write them, and often I personally think like, oh, no one's gonna care. It's too niche, but I'm gonna publish it anyway. And those actually do really well sometimes. So it's hard to do. But the personal ones for sure, they always work really well. I think people really like to relate to someone's personal experience.
True. So how do you structure your blogs?
Yeah, so first of all, obviously starts with the rough idea that I kind of transform into a title. So depending on the title, it could be like a how-to or the a listicle, like with the top X things about something, or my experience with something. From there, I kind of go with an outline. So start writing the headers, and once the headers are there, it's really a matter of just filling in the blanks, right? So you kind of know what you want to write about. You might not find the right words at the time, but if you have the outline, the article will almost write itself.
So let's say you're writing about something which you don't know about. You need to research about that topic and learn about that topic.
Hmm.
So, because you are writing articles every single day, so I'm sure that you must have cracked some sort of code to look for the resources at the best place possible. Where can you find the answer to your questions? So, is there something like that?
It's really dependent on like what kind of thing. So if it's a technical thing I want to explore, I actually often just go based off the docs and try to make something that I would want to make with it, right? So um, yeah, let's say you want to write about Next.js and I have never used this. I just go off based off the docs, read up first, and then start defining, okay, what kind of project could I make with this. And often the first article is always like more of an exploration, like, oh, this is what it is, what it can do, and in the following articles I'm going to dive into X, Y, and Z. So that gives me a set of the next articles already, really.
So, is it good practice to revolve around a particular topic, like I said, web development for you, or we can explore a variety of topics when we are, because I'm talking about college folks, we are learning
Mhm.
things, different tech stacks, different languages, frameworks. So, is it good practice to write blogs on a variety of topics, or we can revolve around a main niche topic, like let's say React or JavaScript?
Again, the default software development answer is it depends. I mean, you'll see I didn't niche down like in very particular field, right? So I keep it very broad in terms of development world niches, as in like web development, and even go into other things if I want to. But I think it really depends on what you want to achieve with the blog. Like if it's personal learning and growth, I think you should really write about as many things as you want. Like it's a really good way to find what you really enjoy, right? So it could be that you're not sure if you want to use React, or if you maybe want to go into data science, or you're still exploring yourself. Then this blog can be a really good outlet to find what you enjoy the most. However, if your goal, for instance, is like, I know I want to be data science, then it makes way more sense to just strictly focus on that, because then eventually it can help you find a job, because you have a lot of expertise and people can see that from your blog. So I think that's kind of where it depends. So I often tell people, especially students, like try to write as much as you can, and through the writing you will find what you enjoy the most, and then you can obviously niche down later on. Like your old articles won't look weird. They can only help you in the long term.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. So, like, let's talk about the performance metrics of a blog. From your
Mhm.
experience, what have you found out? Like, is there some sort of consistency? If you keep up with it, then your blogs do better, or it's not related to that?
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said about that. Like, first of all, you can also write like blogs that will perform really well based on simply the title. Like, you might know this like clickbait term, and like it does really help, right? So there are some terms you can write about, and especially when you start introducing listicles, so the top X, Y, Z, blah 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 things, they do tend to draw way more attention to them for some reason. Um, so, the, like to me personally, they also the worst things to write. Like they are not fun to write about often, unless they come naturally. Like there are some exceptions, of course. Um, so I think that really makes sense. And what I found personally from writing so many articles is that at one stage, I think this was around like 400 articles, Google really started to pick up like in a spike, right? Like all of a sudden, it was certain topics like JavaScript. You would rank on every keyword that you wrote about after that, even. So they really see you at one stage as an authority on certain topics, and uh, it changes a little bit over time. But I think it really helps if they can see like, oh well, consistently writing about something, people come and apparently they find the answer because they're no longer searching for it. So I think Google really sees that works. Um, yeah.
Hmm, I agree. Makes sense. So, do you also follow any proofreading practices? When I say proofreading practices, I mean that do you have a set pattern of reviewing your article? Because at the end of the day, the goal of an article is to provide value to the reader. So, how do you make sure that you are covering everything and your end goal of giving the value to your reader is being accomplished?
No, that's a really good point, and it's also good to note that English is not my first language. So I decided to blog in English, which was another challenge to me. Like English is not bad, I would say, but it's definitely not native, so it's hard to write. Um, so what I actually did in the beginning, back in the day, I went on to like Upwork, I think it was, or Fiverr, I don't know, one of the two. And then I found someone who does proofreading. So the first 5 articles I wrote, and then I sent them to this person to review, and they came back with like a lot of feedback on like construction of the sentences, which really helped me understand like, okay, wait, these are like recurring things, right? You can see like every time I'm doing the same mistake. Besides that, I use like free tools and tools like Grammarly to go over like the basic grammatic format. Another tool I use is Hemingway. It's like an online tool you can use to determine how well your thing is readable. Um, and if I'm all honest, I do think I could do a little bit more, like to go back into certain articles and reread them again to improve them. So I do it with like the high performing ones. I'll go back like, I don't know, I'll take like a couple of months, go back, see how I can improve them or what I need to rewrite. Um, and especially if people tell me like, oh, I'm following this article but I'm stuck at a certain step, and then I go back, look at it, and then I forgot maybe to explain like something they already should have done before, and then I'll add it with like urgency. So I think it's also an always evolving thing, which is kind of the good thing about a blog, right? You can easily edit it, and it will be online in seconds.
So, from your experience of writing blogs for such a long time, what are some of the main tips that you have gathered which can help folks who want to start blogging and you want them not to repeat those mistakes which you made?
I think the main mistake that I made and a lot of people made, and once they start, they all say the same thing, is to simply start. Right? A lot of people just procrastinated. Like they're like, no one's going to want to read this or whatever the reason may be, and by pushing it out, you'll see like people will appreciate it and you'll get feedback. So the other one is to not focus on 100%, right? So like I know my articles are not 100%. Like you can go into any single one of them and find some kind of mistake or something that could have been better. And I personally go for like a rough 90%, if I'm 90% happy with it, then it's good to go. Think that also really helped me to ship consistently, so not to be perfect. Um, Another thing that really helped is to define the outlines for the articles. So, like I mentioned before, like start by writing down the headers that you want to explain, and that will really help you form the article automatically almost, because once you have the headings, you know exactly what you want to write there. You just have to find the right words. But even that, it will come to. I think those
Hmm.
are some of my, I don't know, I would say the main tips. And obviously, read a lot of other people's articles, because you can get a lot of inspiration from how they explain something, not particularly like the technical thing, but like how they explain it to people can really help improve your own writing.
This makes a lot of sense. So, Chris, how can folks writing technical articles, technical blogs, find opportunities?
Yeah, so it depends what kind of opportunities you're after. But if we're talking like writing for other publications, there are some blogs out there that actually have done a great job of like listing all the technical people that pay you to write for them. So I think that's you'll be able to Google them, like blogs that pay for technical writing. You'll find some articles about it. But that said, it is quite a tough business at times. Like writing for yourself compared to writing for others, they will be a lot stricter on what they accept. Again, super good learning point for anyone. So I would definitely, like, not even for the money aspect, but really from a point of like you can really improve your own writing if you write for other publications. um, there are obviously also some middle grounds you can do. So, for instance, you can help with open source projects by like writing for their documentations, and you can easily add this to any portfolio, right? That you helped writing docs for certain things. Super good contributions. It will help you explain things to people. It will showcase your writing and your involvement. So, not a great way. Um, and there are some amazing communities out there, like technical writing communities, but also like some general development communities that will help you become a better technical writer.